Okay, welcome back here. We are still talking about the tangent function. Let's just say that time flies when you're having fun, but fortunately the last video, if you watched, I was scared because it started pushing 15 minutes and I didn't think YouTube was going to let me put it on there, but sometimes they're nice and they let me go over 10 minutes, so that was cool. So I want to watch the time a little better because they won't always do that. So the last time we were talking about, we got at the tangent, oops, of the straight line. There we go. We got the tangent of pi over 6 equaled, what was that? Tangent of pi over 6 was root 3 over 3. And we got our approximation for that. Root 3 over 3 is about 0.577. It's about 0.577. And that means at pi over 6, the slope of that line there, the slope of that line is about 0.577. Tangent of pi over 4, that one was easy because its sine is root 2 over 2, cosine is root 2 over 2, so it's 1. So that is the tangent of that line there. When theta is pi over 4 is, or the slope of that line is 1. We got the tangent of pi over 3 equaled root 3, and that is about, where are we at? Oh, was that about 1.732? Okay, now what I was, so that, well, that is the slope of this line here at pi over 6, theta equals pi over 3, I'm sorry, is about, the slope of that line is about 1.732. Okay, so now I use these to figure out all of my other ones that are non-zero or not infinity. So let's just take an example. Let me arbitrarily pick the tangent of, I don't know, let's say 5 pi over 6. Okay? So I count around the unit circle in increments of pi over 6. So that's 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. And I see that that is the little one. Alright? And what I mean by the little one is that it is the same as that one, except it's clearly this has a negative slope. So I know that that immediately equals what, negative root 3 over 3. So it's the same as that one. Okay? Let me arbitrarily pick another one. Let's say the tangent of 5 pi over 3. Okay? Now I'm going to think of that, to do my counting around the unit circle, I'm going to think of that as 10 pi over 6. So that's going to be 1, 2, oops, that you don't count the pi. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6. Okay? So that is the big one. That is the same as this one, except that it's clearly in the negative direction there, so it's a negative slope. So that one equals negative. So the big one is root 3, so negative root 3. And again, you can do the sine over cosine and actually work it out, but I'm trying to give you a shortcut here to help you out and do these a little quicker. Let's look at the tangent of I don't know, what, 11 pi over 4. Where's that going to be? So I'm going to count around the unit circle in increments of pi over 4. 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4, 9 pi over 4, 10 pi over 4, 11 pi over 4, and And so I know that one is the same as that one, except it's negative, so equals a negative 1. Okay? So I hope that helps you out and makes your life a little easier. You really got to think about this to make it make sense. These things are by no means trivial. You have to think about it and really get it to work out. So let's talk about some other things about the tangent. Okay, let's get a circle. There we go. So there is my circle. And what about, we haven't talked about so far the tangent at, say, there. So that is, what is the tangent of 0 radians? Okay? So, first of all, just look at that. What is the slope of that line? Slope is clearly 0, but if you want to use it by definition, tangent of 0 equals sine 0 over cosine 0. So sine of 0 is the height at that point, which clearly the height is 0. Cosine of 0 is the horizontal distance from the y-axis, which is 1. So that equals 0. Okay? Now let's talk about what happens. Let me switch colors. What happens to the tangent at pi over 2? Okay? How are we doing here? 7 minutes. So let's talk about this one, and then the next one next video we'll work a couple problems, then we'll have a last video where we look at the graph of the tangent. So at pi over 2, first of all, let's think about what happens as theta is getting bigger and approaching pi over 2. What's happening to the slope of these lines? Okay? So, as theta approaches pi over 2, I hope you can see that the tangent or the slope of these lines is approaching infinity. So as theta approaches pi over 2, tangent of theta is approaching infinity. And the way we can make that make sense is if we look at it. So tangent of theta, and let's just say I'm talking about theta as theta gets real close to pi over 2. We see here, let's say we're right here on this one. Let me go off to a different color. We're right here on that one. We're looking at the sine of theta divided by the cosine of theta. Okay? Well, what's happening to the sine theta as theta gets close to pi over 2? We see this thing is getting closer and closer to 1. The sine theta is going to 1, and the cosine theta is right here. It's getting closer and closer to 0. And so we see that as we get closer and closer to pi over 2, that 1 divided by 0 is blowing up. It's getting so as this gets close to 1 and that gets close to 0, we divide and we're getting really big numbers. And so that's why that this slope here is approaching infinity as theta approaches pi over 2. But the actual tangent of pi over 2 doesn't exist. Tangent of pi over 2, we'd have the sine of pi over 2 divided by cosine of pi over 2, which equals 1 over 0. So that does not exist, but so it does, we're hitting 10 minutes here, so let me stop there and I'll continue in the next video. But real important here to note that as we get closer and closer to pi over 2, that the tangent is approaching infinity, But actually at pi over 2 it doesn't exist because we'd be dividing by 0. And you can't have the slope of a vertical line. And again, as we approach negative pi over 2, we'll see here that the slope is approaching negative infinity, but again it's not going to exist at negative pi over 2. I will continue this conversation in the next video.